everyone, my name is Jasmine Moody, and I'm so excited to be here to be able to talk about my experience with leading a group. So this was the first group I've ever led, and I was super excited about that because I started off as a member. This group is called Revive Your Love for Teaching, and it was created by a teacher who's experienced teacher burnout herself this year. Obviously, teachers are feeling the effects of COVID. Our children are feeling the effects, and there is a lot of teacher burnout. The recent statistics says that 44% of teachers in the United States have experienced burnout, and about 57% of teachers are ready to leave the profession. So this group was created by Ms. Myers because of the teacher morale that she has experienced at the school with teacher burnout. The group usually meets every Friday, but when I led this session, we met on Thursday because of state testing. The group usually lasts about 30 minutes, but for my session, it lasts about an hour and 30 minutes. So we started off the group with 10 attendees, and because it is a group, an open group, the number of attendees changes every group meeting. So for the group contents and the process, I started off my group with the warm-up. That was about 10 minutes, and the warm-up was around, and I asked each teacher to be able to reflect on their week by describing their week using one word. I think this was an effective warm-up because it was able to let teachers reflect over their week so they have space in their mind so they can focus on the group session. After the warm-up, I talked about the norms really quickly, and I quickly touched on confidentiality because that's something we do every session, and we spent more time talking about it in our first session. After talking about the norms of confidentiality, we started a movement exercise. So one thing Jacob recommends is having people get up and move. That's a great exercise to use to get people focused. So I did how far have you come? As a group, we already discussed some goals that we wanted to incorporate in our life to eliminate teacher burnout. So I asked teachers to stand side by side to each other, and if the teacher felt like she has made progress towards eliminating teacher burnout, I ask her to step forward. If they feel like they're not making progress, but they're not sure, it changes daily, I ask them to stay still. If they feel like they're going backwards, there's some things going on, and it just doesn't feel like the burnout is getting any better, I ask teachers to step backwards. And during this exercise, which was the most powerful moment of the session, we've got tears, we got some teachers having an aha moment. We had some teachers that were kind of embarrassed to choose. And I made sure they understood that it was a safe place. So no matter if they stepped forward or backwards, it was okay because this is a work in progress. After that exercise, we had a quick round, and I asked teachers to reflect on self-care, and if they can understand or if they can rate their self-care from 1 to 5 to show me how effective their self-care is. And most teachers rated a 1, and most teachers was honest about not even knowing exactly what some self-care tips are. So after realizing that most of the teachers do not incorporate self-care, we moved right on to our group discussion. Our group discussion started off first with us talking about our experience with self-care and how their self-care looks in their world. Then we created a chart of different self-care tips that teachers can use in their personal life. Self-care tips that can work inside the classroom and outside the classroom, whether you're a mommy, a wife, you have multiple jobs. These self-care tips are supposed to help eliminate teacher burnout and release the stress in their everyday life. And we came up with some really good ideas. At first, I was nervous because I was expecting some generic answers like sleep, eat well, get a good night rest. We know those, but we were able to come up with some specific and new ideas. And a lot of teachers really had those aha moments again, like, wow, that's a simple self-care, which is good, and I can easily incorporate it in my life. After that, we had a closing. In the closing, we talked about teachers picking one self-care tip to incorporate in their everyday life. And we mentioned that we're going to come back to the next session and discuss if we were able to incorporate those self-cares. We also discussed that there's 2 more sessions left, just so members understand that we're coming to the end of our group. Based on a self-assessment that I had after the meeting, my heart was thumping, my heart was racing, but I also felt very full of love, and I felt very happy, and I was content with how the group went. There was only one point in the session where I felt like there was a challenge and it did not go well, and that's when we hit the group discussion. There was one teacher that continued to talk over other teachers. There was one teacher that wanted to talk a lot, and I struggled of finding the right moments when to cut her off. I know the skills and the techniques that Jacob have recommended to use for the cutoff and cutting off members in the importance of it. But at that moment in time and having all eyes on me and knowing she's a coworker, I really struggled with cutting her off. But after reflecting, I realized that in that moment, yes, that was a coworker, but I was the leader at the time, and I am able to use auditory skills with my students. After that, we were able to, after realizing that it went well, but I needed to cut that member off, I was able to reflect that I did an amazing job with using certain skills. I was able to use eye contact. I was able to get team members riled up with the exercise and get them engaged. So I was really proud of the level of engagement throughout the session. Everyone was happy. Everyone was participating, which was amazing. Concluding this, I do know in my next group leading, I need to make sure that I do cut members off, because even though that was a little small challenge, it was very effective with having other group members feel like they were not important and that I did not want to hear them. So I would continue to work on that skill of cutting other members off, and I would continue to work on being more authoritative and taking leadership skills and knowing that I am in charge. And I'm here to make group members feel comfortable, but that includes all group members no matter what. So I enjoyed the experience and I cannot wait to lead another group again. Thank you and have a blessed day.